fifth opportunity session. And yes, at this point, I would like to hand over proceedings to the moderator who will be driving the conversation. Mr. Moderator, let the conversation begin. Thank you very much.
We'll focus mostly on a brief profile of the company, their programs, the opportunities in their various programs, and the timeline, and how do we access those opportunities. I have a business enabler and facilitator in NUPRC that will give a whole information about the wide opportunities, incentives in the industry, and then the operators will do that. So straight away, we'll start with Dr. Kelechi of NUPRC to present the slides. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So straight into it. A presentation, please. Right, next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, next slide. This slide, ladies and gentlemen, basically demonstrates the fact that even though there's that global clamor for green energy, for renewables, in time to come, hydrocarbons will still play a very pivotal role in our energy mix. There will be, of course, an introduction of greener energy resources and sources into that mix, but ultimately, hydrocarbons will still be at play and in play at the end of whatever timeline you've heard, whether that is 2030, 2040, 2050, or in the case of Nigeria, 2060. And that is why we say in some quarters that gas is not only our transition fuel, but also our destination fuel, because it will still be a viable investment opportunity in 2040, 2050. Next slide, please. This slide demonstrates that the energy demand of the world, and of course Africa, as part of that, would keep growing. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you know this, but the numbers say that 800 million people in sub-Sahara, in the world, basically, have no access to clean cooking fuels and no access to energy. 100 million of those people live in Nigeria. 100 million people have absolutely no access to energy and no access to clean cooking fuels. And about 3 months ago, if I remember correctly, the National Bureau of Statistics released a report that showed that 135 million Nigerians are living in multidimensional poverty. That means no matter how you look at it, no matter the index you use, no matter the parameter you choose to assess with, those guys are steeped neck deep in poverty. Is it a coincidence that the numbers are almost at par? 100 million Nigerians without energy, 135 million Nigerians in multidimensional poverty. Well, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think there's a correlation. So if you fix energy, if you empower people with affordable and clean energy in line with SDG 7, there you start to mitigate those numbers, and those numbers will progressively come down. Next slide, please. This basically demonstrates the well-worn argument as to the state of the industry as far as reserves of oil and gas are concerned. It's no longer news that in terms of reserves in Africa oil, we're number one with almost 37 billion barrels of oil. As far as gas is concerned, 208 trillion cubic feet proven with an upside of 600 trillion cubic feet. Nigeria is obviously more a gas province than an oil province. Therein lies your opportunity. Next slide, please. So, the PIA obviously has come, and for the very first time, Section 6, subsection H of PIA mandates the Commission to create an environment that enables investment in upstream petroleum operations. So we're essentially not just your regulators, but also your business enablers and your opportunity providers. And how do we do this? But the PIA, which to the glory of God, it was the honor of my life to partake in drafting, basically contains all the opportunities that you can think of. I say to people, every line in the PIA is potentially an opportunity for people to invest in, but I don't even know how many people have taken time to read that document end to end. So for instance, in this hall, somebody said to me, I read the PIA and now I'm developing a technology that will enable enable the identification of hydrocarbons content without the necessity of seismic. And I'm like, whoa, really? He said, yes. I said, well, come over. Our doors are open as a commission, and we will enable you pilot test that and bring that into maturation. Next slide, please. So, like I said, the PIA with the fiscal terms, for instance, make it now more attractive, especially from a gas perspective, to do business in the sector. So, from hydrocarbon taxes that are not applicable to gas, reduction of royalties, and of course, gas, if those who want to play in the pipeline sector, there's another 5 years tax holiday in addition to what is contained in CETA. That document is replete with a plethora of incentives that just beckon on the discerning investor to come on and invest. Next slide, please. So these are our regulatory focus as a commission. So whether you're talking about achieving peace and harmony in host community areas or engendering sanity and predictability in our upstream petroleum operations space, every regulatory focus has been crafted with a view of investment at the heart of it. Because at the end of the day, if people are not investing in the sector, then there's absolutely no basis for prosperity or shared prosperity, which is a core objective of the PIA. And only with investment would we have activity. Activity would equate to development and production. Production will equate to royalties being paid. That would equate to increased revenue for the country and, of course, for the people who are making the investments themselves. And ladies and gentlemen, everyone has said here, even though the contribution of this sector to the GDP is about 3%, the ES presented, and growing, that sector still accounts for at least circa 85% of our forex. So take away investments from that sector and everybody, so whether you're in the agri sector, in the mining sector, or the informal sector, but if you require forex, then any dip in this revenue will ultimately affect you. Next slide, please. So, like I said, from our point of view as enabler, business business enabler and opportunity provider, we want to make sure that the upstream space is predictable. So there is no, the vagaries of discretion or misuse of the discretion by the regulator are progressively being removed. And that's why the regulations we're churning out, in conjunction and consultation with the industry, have attained that level of certainty and predictability. We have done 5 that are gazetted fully, 13 are now with the Ministry of Justice, and 6 are now being stakeholder engaged. And in all of this, the benefit is that these documents will benefit from the enriched discourse and intervention and contribution of the industry, such that at the end of the day, we have a document that's not only fit for purpose, but will engender the needed investment in the sector. Next slide, please.
1 minute more.
1 minute more. Okay, so basically, the plethora of opportunities that exist in the sector have been well shown. There's arguments and interventions in the course of this, the opportunity fair. But the one that I would highlight, next slide please, is basically the fact that we have an investment, next slide, we have an investment roadshow that is coming up in Abuja. That will happen in June. That we plan that will be the very first major oil and gas upstream event in the aftermath of the inauguration of the new administration. We want to bring people together. It's a whole ecosystem to make an investment crystallize, and we realize that. So we want to bring the awardees, the license holders. So whether these license holders are emerging from the marginal fields licenses that process the bid round that we've concluded, or from the ongoing Nigerian gas flare commercialization program that's on the verge of being completed, or from the mini bid, the mini bid round that will be for the 7 deep offshore blocks that will be concluded in June. Everybody come together, and then we will bring the financiers that require the line of sight to the projects, and then the service providers that have the equipment and the expertise, and then the commodity traders in one basket, so that synergy, that assurance, that confidence, that environment the regulator would bring. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kelechi, for that passion, selling the opportunities. I mean, you've reminded us the hydrocarbon relevance will continue till about 2050, 2060. Energy demand will continue to rise, and we need continuous investment and innovative ways to invest in those opportunities. And you've told us about the PIA mandate for NUPRC to provide enabling environments. And I think my advice is that NUPRC should run workshops on the PIA as done by NCDNB on the Logic Act, so that the whole business community can have deep understanding. So thank you very much. So I will quickly move to Mr. Wole Adefala, the MD CEO of Frontier Oil. Adefila, thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk to us briefly about UCO field. We operate the UCO field, which is essentially a land field, and it's located in Akwa Ibom State, around Eketire. Interestingly, you will hear 2 of us talk about UCO field. Myself, for Frontier Oil Limited, and Pade sitting down there, the MD of Savannah. Reason being that we are in a joint venture, we're partners operating within that same field. It's not common when you have 2 companies operating in the same field. But we have a unique joint operating agreement whereby Frontier will look after oil, essentially 100% oil, whereas Savannah looks after gas, 100% gas. Of course, we have very good relationships, even though our products are different. But in other areas like HSC, security, community relations, we relate very well. In UCO field, we have a single oil well producing now. And our immediate plan is to increase our production. And what we want to achieve in the short term is to increase our production to about 3,000 barrels a day. Right now, we're making really short of that. To achieve that target, our plan is to drill 2 wells this year and complete them. And hopefully, if we're successful, we also plan to put in place a crude processing plant, which will help us treat the crude to export quality. And so there are opportunities here. In terms of drilling and completion, of course, you have major contractor and subcontractors who will provide service or services. There will be material supplies also. This is an opportunity for those of us who may want to join the local major contractor while drilling and completing those wells to bring it to a success. Second opportunity here, like I told us earlier on, is the crude processing plant, which we want to put in place. Of course, this is a good opportunity too for locals to come in here and partake. But I must say this, building that facility is contingent on the success of the 2 wells we plan to drill. And we're hoping, we're very optimistic that those 2 wells will be successful. So for the COPF, of course, there are opportunities for 100% participation of Nigerian vendors in terms of design, engineering design, in terms of fabrication too, procurement, and of course, installation and the employment of locals for this activity. So, in all our operations from inception since 2007, we've always employed locals to do this for us. And I can tell you
1 minute more.
that we pride ourselves as Frontier Oil Limited that we are 100% Nigerian compliant. There is no single expatriate in our company. No single expatriate. All Nigerians from the MD all the way down. So I call out to you, join us. If you are interested, of course you must be interested, join us, ask questions, and we will be ready to welcome you. And on a last note, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adefila. I don't need to go over the opportunities which he displayed. So quickly, we'll go to Mr. Igemba of Seplat for his presentation and the opportunities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I stand on all existing protocols. Just a little story about Seplat. Seplat is started out as an indigenous oil and gas company, but is now majorly international as well. We are present in 7 blocks, but I will be focusing my attention on 4 of the blocks where we are actual operators. And those blocks are OML 4, 38, and 41, as well as OML 53. They cover the fields in Sapele, Oben, and Amukpe, and then Ohaji and GCK area. Seplat, when we started operations in 2010, we started by buying off this acreage, blocks, the equity of Shell in these blocks and those of in the East Chevron as well. And we have been operating these very mature fields very profitably with production increases to very good acclaim. Now these fields have been maturing and we are beginning to do, we've been doing investments in them and we're doing additional investments to get more value out of these fields. As we speak, Seplat is currently building 2 gas plants, one in Sapele and one in conjunction with NGC in Asanot area. Before then, we had the Oben gas plant, which we have also increase capacity from about 150 million scoff per day to about 450 million scoff per day. And in terms of total production and what we support the Nigerian domestic gas production supplies, we currently do about 30% of that. And when the new Asanot gas plant comes on stream, we'll probably be almost doubling that capacity for ourselves. The one in Sapele that we're building is an existing gas plant which was doing about 50 million scoff per day, but we have now decommissioned that completely, removed it, and we're building a completely new gas plant which will be accompanied by LPG extraction and storage and sales. So that will also be our intro into the midstream LPG supply business as well. So the opportunities I'm going to focus on here are the opportunities that we are in tender for, or we are preparing to go to tender for, where you can, those of you who are in the contracting and supply business, can immediately benefit from. Otherwise, we have a lot of other opportunities in the entire upstream and midstream production business, because we have gas plants and we have oil processing facilities. So the first opportunity that I'm going to touch on, my slides please, who's directing that? Okay. Is the Amukpe liquid treatment facility upgrade. When Seplat inherited the Amukpe field, there was no water handling facilities. We have since incorporated water extraction and in situ disposal provisions in that plant. This project is to make that facility a lot bigger so that we can handle all of the water and no longer export any water from this facility to any of the terminals where we'll be exporting to. So it remains a very viable opportunity for those who are in the business. It's an infrastructure project. It's going to be potentially handling about 50 to 80,000 barrels of water per day. The opportunity does not stop on infrastructure alone. There are still, because we do water injection wells as well, there are drilling and completions services that accompany that as well, which should be available to any of you who is playing in that field. Next slide, please. This is just schematics of what the plant will look like eventually. Next slide. The next thing we're doing is something to do with storage. We currently have, near Amukpe as well, we have 2 buffer tanks that we use for hydrocarbon holding to manage outages of the pipelines and all. We are looking to double that capacity, so we are in the processes of starting that project now. When I mean starting the project, we're still conceiving it fully, and we should be taking, hopefully, running to an investment decision sometime early next year. So this is a ripe opportunity for anybody who plays in that space to partake in. The next one is the Ohaji South Alternative Evacuation Pipeline Project. In Ohaji field, we currently export our produce through the Trans-Niger pipeline, but with the
30 seconds more.
With the mentioned issues with TMP, we are trying to build an alternative to go through the Ajip line. So that's an opportunity for somebody to go as well. In Oben, we are beginning to go into secondary compression to manage our gas sales as well. So that secondary compression offers opportunities for those who are in the compression business to partake fully. We also look to be going to market early next year. And the last one, last but not the least that I want to touch on, is the Oben gas plant flares-out project. We do have a live flares-out project ongoing for most of our facilities, but in the gas plants, we are currently still struggling with flaring in that location. So we are putting this project together. Again, we're looking for this project to come to stream to the market early next year. So those who play, it's a compression and pipeline related project as well. Those who play in that field, opportunities exist for you to partake in this. I think I missed out one, the last one.
Thank you very much.
Which is the spur line that connects AEP to Otumara. That is an oil evacuation line in the swamp that we are looking to build so that we have an alternative to evacuation through the TFP, which currently suffers a lot of challenges. That will be all for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Jemba. And I will quickly go to Pade of Savannah Energy. Pade, please.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's an honor and privilege for me to have this opportunity to share a quick intro into Savannah Energy in Nigeria. Can I have the slides, please? Next slide. So Savannah Energy is a group of companies in Nigeria that were listed company based in London, listed on the alternative investment market, but have been focused exclusively in Africa. Started out in Niger before coming to Nigeria, and of recent have expanded operations to Cameroon. A business in Nigeria is what I am going to be focusing on today, and as has been introduced by my partner. Next slide, please. Next slide. Our business is largely around the gas that we produce and manage out of the Ukwo field. As Wale mentioned, we have a fairly unique, arrangement where both parties on a field, both partners on a field, have elected to put their energies and the focus and the priorities in different areas, and it works. It's a very interesting template that works very, very well. So we focus on the gas, and by that we are able to produce up to 200 million scoff of gas a day and have built 260 kilometers of gas pipelines that we supply to 8 customers. And those 8 customers, about 50% of them are power companies that we provide gas to. And based on whether or not the Trans-Niger pipeline is up, we provide sometimes up to 24% of the gas that goes into the power sector in Nigeria. Our primary customers are the Calabar IPP and Ibom Power, but since 2021, we've been able to flow gas through what used to be called the Eastern Network into the Port Harcourt area and provide gas to customers there as well. In addition to the power customers, we also provide gas to Lafarge and some other industrials in the Port Harcourt area. But that's not all we have. Next slide. You may not be able to see this, but we are also 51% owners of the Stop Creek marginal field that today is producing about 2,800 barrels. I forgot to mention that our gas out of Ukwo is non-associated. Even though it's not bone dry, it produces about 1 barrel of oil for every million scoff of gas. So we have about 200 barrels of condensate that we produce daily. But what is interesting about our gas is that it does not depend on any of the major pipelines. As my colleague from Seplat mentioned, we don't suffer from the downtime of NCTL, TNP, or TFP. And that really presents the main opportunity that we have. Next slide. I guess this is just a quick description of the Ukwo CPF. Like I said, it's 200 million scoff of gas a day. We started producing and selling gas in 2013, 2014 to Ibon Power. And since then, we've been growing steadily. The opportunity that we have is really around taking that 200 million scoff of gas a day and turning it into about a BCF of gas in the what we call the southeast area of Nigeria. There is about 5 to 7 TCF of gas in that area that is completely stranded and undeveloped, starting from ExxonMobil's gas that is offshore that needs to come onshore to various other fields in that area. And our focus is how to build a gas hub in that area that is not dependent on solving the bunkering issues on TNP, and NCTL and TFP, and can therefore become the backbone of the supply, the steady supply, uninterruptible steady supply of gas into the power sector. Next slide. We have the marginal field, the Stop Creek marginal field that we've been operating. It's been producing about 2,700 barrels of oil a day, almost like a straight line. So we believe that there is significant upside there that we're going to be exploring, in addition to 400 BCF of contingent resource gas. And I think beyond that is just to say that, next slide. We have been seeing steady increase in our production.
1 minute more.
As we debottleneck.
And I haven't seen the opportunities, buddy.
Our opportunities is largely around the growth of our gas hub from 200 million scoff to about a BCF. And that's it. That's it for us.
How will the contractors benefit from these things?
When we start growing.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pade. So quickly, we'll go to my friend Basil from ND Western. Basically, you spend 1 minute on who ND Western is, where you operate, your projects, the opportunities in the project, all within 5-6 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing in here on behalf of my CEO, Ebere Oji, who couldn't make it for good reasons. I would like to quickly start my presentation this afternoon just by saying a word that Winston Churchill made, which says that a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, while an optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. So I choose to stand on the side of the optimists. ND Western, as we know, is an indigenous oil and gas producing company. We are heavy on gas, and we supply much more than 75% to the national grid producers, people that are using the gas for power generation. So it's very key. But going back on my words on what Winston Churchill said, in the environment we have various challenges. And normally those challenges, I want us to look at it for a moment as opportunity creators for everybody. If you take, for example, the environmental issues, we're talking about global warming, we have ozone layer issues, ocean trash, plastics, pollution, waste control, and things like that. Every one of these problems listed creates in itself an opportunity. And where we work, these opportunities actually exist. And I believe, like my colleagues mentioned, so many other places have the same opportunities. And we need to show presence and take advantage of that. Next slide, please. So if we look at the ESG, for example, that's the environment, social governance policies. The next slide, please. Yeah, that's one. So those people can read it as constraints. People can see it as we need to provide procedures for waste management, show some kind of slow climate change, do things socially to improve what we're doing, workers' wages and all whatnot, and governance. But all these come into policies. They make government to formulate policies that we can see as an opportunity. And there's one in it here for us. For example, as a result of the ESG requirement, we are required now to do, even though we've been talking about flares out, we are required to finally come to a halt on flaring by 2040. And that creates in itself a very wonderful opportunity for local participators and even otherwise. If we don't comply, we will be required to pay a lot of fines. To give you some relative data, we have more than 289 billion scoff of gas, being flared. And if you had that quantity of gas, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. If you had that quantity of gas, there are so much you can do. You can build 2 to 3 trains of LNG plant. You can generate 3,000 megawatts of electricity from this quantity of gas that we are flaring. And you can see it in every facility, everywhere. There are so much you can do. Even your carbon credit, if you were taking care of that, would have, given you close to $350 million. And so on and so forth. If it's job, you're talking about more than 300,000 jobs created as a result of this value chain. Households given access to clean energy by use of LPG and things like that. These are what we are burning away. These are things we are throwing away by not taking this opportunity in this challenge of this time. And in ND Western, we are, going in the direction of taking the challenge, and getting the opportunities to people who are around us to benefit from. Next slide shows us the various technologies that you can use to deal with these flares. So we just say proven technologies for flare gas monetization. You can convert this flare gas to money. You can do compressed natural gas. You can do LPG. You can do LNG from it. In fact, I'm sure so many of us are aware that there's a mini LNG plant in Rumuji, in Port Harcourt. It's not the main one in Bonny, but these are people who have positioned themselves and taken some of this flare gas and compressing them and taking out the debris.
1 minute more.
And, giving you a very clean gas. So for us, we have the same challenge, and we are aware of the various advantages if you do that. Government has a lot of incentives. If you do that, there are tax freedoms, even VAT. You can exempt yourself from paying VAT if you key in on these government initiatives. There are so many of them. But what I want to say is, where we come from in ND Western, we want to comply. So opportunities are there for every one of us to partner with various technology makers to take care of this gas. You can go into power generation. You can go into LNG plant, making mini plants. You can do CNG. There are so much you can do with this gas that we're flaring. And we are saying the opportunities are there. Recently, we invited bids. We got more than 120 bids, people coming with various solutions, and it's a win-win. We provide you the gas, you provide the technology to take care of it. We are complying to the ESG policy and requirements, and everybody is smiling at the end of the day. So with that, I welcome you to ND Western in what we are doing in the challenges of the flaring, and I promise you, you will not regret joining us in that work. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Basil. Before we close, I'll still give you 1 minute later to come up with the slides that have your projects and where people can actually see the project that you want to do. Thank you. So quickly, we have somebody online, Wole Ajayigbe from Ashara Energy. Wole, you have just about 5 minutes to just tell us briefly about Ashara Energy, where you are, your ongoing projects, and opportunities for the delegates so that they can position towards your projects. You're welcome, Wole.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Wole Ajayigbe, and I work as the Group Projects Manager for Asharami Energy. Ashirami Energy is the upstream arm of the Sahara Energy Group, and we're an international company represented in about 40 countries worldwide. First, apologies. My COO, Mr. Henry Menkiti, was meant to attend. He couldn't, so he asked me to late yesterday. So I flew out to Port Harcourt this morning, and I was on my way to Yenagoa when I think the timing for the presentation changed. Probably was brought forward about 45 minutes. So I've had to just stop by the road and give this presentation. So apologies, but I hope I'm audible. And like I said, my regrets from Henry Menkiti as well. So Ashirami Energy, like I said, is the upstream arm of the Sahara Energy Group. So we have operations in Nigeria, leases in Ghana and Ivory Coast. In Nigeria, we have a lease that we operate, the OML 148 in Edo State, where production is right about 8,000 barrels per day. We recently have an FTSA with NPDC to together jointly operate the massive OML 11, which is a lease that used to belong to Shell. That's what people would term the Ogoni area lease. And then we also have a prospecting lease, OPL 228, in Abia State, Imo Abia area, where we're currently shooting a 3D seismic and then planning to drill an exploratory well later this year. When we look at the opportunities for us, they're in about 4 critical areas: automated drilling programs, process automation, gas to power, and then security optimization. So if I take the first one, automated drilling program, at our OML 148, right now we're producing about 8,000 barrels per day. We plan to increase that production to about 20. And to do that, of course, we'll be drilling about 4, 5, 6 wells, and then also upgrading the capacity of our flow station there from 10,000 barrels per day to 20,000 barrels per day. So opportunities abound there for companies who do design, feed, and detailed engineering for process plants or oil treatment plants. Opportunities also abound for drilling companies. Like I said, we'll be drilling about 4 or 5 new wells there. Also laying new pipelines, so pipeline companies that are represented in Nigeria have a chance to participate in that program. At OML 11, that's a massive lease. At a time when, at its utmost, that lease was producing about 250,000 barrels per day. Now, when we took it over last year, it was down to less than 10,000. We've been able to increase it now to about 25,000 barrels per day. And we're looking to increase to 150,000 in the next 5 years. So there's going to be a massive well workover program there, massive drilling programs as well. A lot of facilities upgrading as well as refurbishment due to the communal crisis that lasted there for about 30 years. So a lot of facilities there are damaged, which we have to refurbish and bring back into operation. So potential opportunities there are just in that area, in that space is really massive. I think that's really the jewel in our crown. OPL 228, like I said, we are shooting 3D seismic right now, processing the results. We'll be drilling a new exploratory well there this year, and then from there, depending on how the well turns out, there will be further drilling programs.
Hello, Wale.
You
have 30 seconds more.
Okay. So, so those are the areas. So if we look at that, like I said, the drilling areas, the process automation, again, in order to make sure that we're very cost efficient, we're automating processes at our flow station. Our current flow stations we have now, there's a lot of manual intervention, and we want to bring that intervention to use automation to make sure that we're getting things efficient as possible. Gas to power as well. We have a gas utilization plant. At the Sahara Energy Group, we are also in the midstream. We own a power plant, the EGMI power plant, and about 2 other power plants in Rivers State, FIPL, our farm that came as part of OML 11. So we have plants that we can supply our gas to. And then security optimization with downtime in pipeline, due to pipeline vandalism. We're looking at technologies that can help us detect very quickly anytime there's a loss of containment in any of our pipelines so that we can respond quickly to fix it.
Okay.
So those are the areas, potential areas for us, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for all those opportunities. Thank you very much. We have a few minutes left, but I will still go back to ND Western to tell us specifically the projects and contracts or tenders that's going to go out that people can prepare for. 1 minute. You can sit down if yeah.
It's working.
Thank you, Larry. In ND Western, we've got loads and loads of activities coming on in the area of pipelines. We're going through the alternative evacuation route, because right now our liquids we are producing into OML 30, the tanks in UPS, and we are the owners of the facility in Warri River. But because of the incessant issues we all know happening on the TFP, we cannot always guarantee that our inventory can get to Forcados. So we are on the conception stage of an alternative route and going from our facility at Ueli East, which is the same environment as UPS, all the way to Warri River as an alternative, the same 24-inch pipeline going down there. Now, there's an improvement we're also making, which is called the horizontal directional drilling, where we don't lay our line pipes on the just the 1.8 meters as we know it. We go as deep we drill directionally and lay the pipelines as deep as 20 to 30 meters, just like truss boring, the way you know it, go down, and that takes it away from the surface and the accessibility and all the challenges therein. So we have that HGD project going on. We've commissioned one, and more are coming up. So all the pipelines we're doing in that direction is going to be HGD per se. We're also running on an old plant. Everybody knows that the Ughelli East gas plant is old and aged. So we're trying to do an upgrade of that facility to a modern 150 million SCOF brand new gas processing facility in 2 trains.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So on and so forth.
Okay, I'm sure that the details will be submitted for the compendium so that people can have access to study those ones.
Sure.
And we also hope that all these projects will come through the NIPEX platform, and that it will avail to everybody and not selective tenders. That is for all.
That's correct. What we're doing is open tendering for those ones. So anybody who qualifies in that direction is free to, indicate interest.
Okay. My advice is to all the speakers. We have just a minute left, so we should be able to take at least a question from the audience.
There's a hand on the right there.
Any question from the audience? Okay.
There's one on the right there.
There's somebody on the right.
Go ahead.
Yes, please. There's somebody on that side.
Okay. My name is Michael Iwawari, representing Mosend, and my question is directed to the representative of Frontier. It was very interesting when he emphasized and reiterated on Frontier employing communities and being community-friendly company and 100% local content. So my question is, in as much as, yes, you employ community members, what are other opportunities in terms of human capital development or capacity building that you do? If there is any, what are the deliberate strategies you use in achieving it? Thank you very much.
Mr. Defila, 30 seconds. Response.
Thank you for your, for your question. Like you rightly said, we are a community-friendly company. And since inception, outside of giving out contracts or employing community youths and from our communities too, we've done quite a lot. And I point out just a few to you. We have invested so much in areas of skills development. Also, we have done quite a lot in giving scholarships to host community students. We've also invested in microcredit and grant. And I tell you what, as at the end of 2022, between Frontier and our partner, our JV partner, Savannah, we have spent about 655 million naira since inception on various of these areas that I've told you. Yeah. Skill acquisition, scholarships, and microcredits. As at the end of last year, we spent 655 million naira.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. Thank you for that. Yeah.
For this year alone, we plan to spend in these other areas too 107 million naira. That's between the two of us. That's Savannah and Frontier. So it's not just giving out contracts. It's not just giving out employment. We also try as much as possible to develop the humans in our areas of operations. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, thanks. And also thank you to all the panel speakers, and thanks to the audience. We've listened to them, we've listened to the opportunities, and it's for us to strategize and prepare to maximize those opportunities. Thank you very much.
Executive Commissioner, Economic Regulation and Strategic Planning, NUPRC, Dr. Kelechi Ofwegu. So please let that plaque be on standby. Once we have that sorted out, the next plaque will be for Frontier Oil Limited. Paparazzi, first photograph, then another with the plaques displayed. I know. And the second photograph will be with the plaques displayed to the audience. All right, the second appreciation plaque is for the MD, CEO, Operations Director, Frontier Oil Limited, Mr. Wole Adefila. Thank you very much. Let's have that quickly. GM Engineering at Seplat, Engineer Walter Egemba. Managing Director, Savannah Energy, Mr. Olakpade Durotoye. Then we also have a plaque for Asharami, the CEO who joined us virtually, Mr. Henry Menkiti, represented by Mr. Wole Ajegbe. Then finally, for ND Western, the CEO, Mr. Berichuku Oji, represented by the GM Engineer, Mr. Basil Okoye. Then for the moderator, Vice Chairman Patton, Chairman CEO Radio Circle Group, Mr. Ranti Omoli. Mr. Moderator, that is your plaque. Gentlemen, please display your plaque, all right, so that the paparazzi can have a very, very good photograph. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Our moderator for this panel is Mr. Abdul Malik Halilu, the Director, Planning, Research and Statistics, NCDMB. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up stage. Thank you very much.
This session is just trying to wrap up what we have been discussing the last 2 days. We have seen opportunities in the upstream sector, gas development, modular refinery projects, storage tanks, and so on. The expectation is that having this information, service companies will now decompose each of the projects into material requirements, manpower requirements, services, and then also quantify the opportunity. The next stage will now be how do we respond when we're asked to submit tender. That means we have to build capacity. If you build capacity, you expect your capacity utilization to be 90% and above. If capacity utilization drops, then it means capacity that has been established will end up being eroded. And that is why this last session is trying to look at what are the mechanisms that we can put in place to ensure that we sustain those capacities. There are two dimensions to linkage opportunities. There's the market linkage, where you look at demand across Nigeria in different sectors, and also regional demand, and if possible, continental demand. That's market linkage. There's also supply chain linkages, how your service offering is able to adapt and provide service to other sectors. Fabrication yard being able to do business with telecoms. So when the oil and gas sector's usual cyclical bust and boom catches up with you, you switch to other sectors of the economy and still maintain the capacity utilization. So ultimately, the oil sector has provided a catalyst for building the capacity, but then you're also able to do business with other sectors and maintain capacity that has been established. So that's the conversation we'll be having, and I have before me seasoned entrepreneurs who are the business world who understand this, and then also project promoters who actually package these projects. So I'll start with Cable Coleman. Onafo George is the managing director of Coleman. So I'll be introducing them as I ask questions just to save time. We all know that cable has multi-sectoral application. So you're a classical case of how market linkages can actually sustain businesses. We appreciate the significant investments by Coleman. Anytime we talk about local content, you're a shining example of how you have invested and were able to maximize local content value from cable tenders. How has market opportunities beyond the oil sector helped your business to mitigate the bust and boom cycle of the oil and gas industry.
Thank you, Abdul Malik. Thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, everybody. I think for us, and for myself, I've looked at it. First, you have to look at it, taking back to the NOGOF Act quickly, and then saying the opportunities from the local content law itself. That was an opportunity for us to look at every area. Then secondly, moving on to the opportunities we've seen over the last few years, taking us back to when NCDMB and NLNG started also the roadshow on the opportunities on Train 7. For every opportunity, just the same way we have NOGOF, this is the fourth one, it's to always for us look at the opportunities that are there for investment, opportunities that are there for expansion or capacity build. Now, the advantage where you have an opportunity like this is to look at what can I provide to this current situation of the future market, and secondly, what can I provide for alternative markets. In cable, I always say in our business, we're in everybody's life, whether you're building for your own house, building for your factory, building for your business, in oil and gas and telecom, Coleman has a solution to every sector in this country. And we've built it on the basis of opportunity on oil and gas. Taking, for instance, Train 7, we looked at the opportunities of instrumentation cable, looked at the opportunities of marine cable, looked at the opportunity of fiber optic cable 4 years ago. Today, we provide solution for all four, but now we provide solution for all the telcos. So you go from an opportunity for a solution for an oil and gas to a solution to other sectors, solution for transmission, solution for distribution, solution even for today. We're having a lot of mini-grid projects being put into Nigeria. That mini-grid projects are also alternative power projects, which we're providing cable solutions for. So for our case is that the solution has avoided the boom and bust, because you're providing a solution for one sector, but you're looking at variably other sector to actually manage and mitigate the risk factor associated with oil and gas related contracts that take a bit of a longer gestation product to actually crystallize. So for us, the business risk element when making a decision for investment is what are the alternatives that you can keep capacity going, capacity utilization going, and moving a case of 100% utilization to at least a 50% capacity utilization of your projection. So in any decision that is made in an opportunity, it's a good thing we're here today. We're seeing so much opportunities. Only thing is that I need it broken down a bit more, like we had the Train 7, we had pipes, we had cable. Everybody could actually see the definition of what the breakdown of Train 7 is.
Interesting.
We see opportunity, but we need to also see the breakdown. In the breakdown and in the details of those breakdown, you can see other opportunities of other areas we can tap onto. So the good thing is avoiding a boom and bust situation is to always, at all times, look at the alternative markets every time we're actually making a decision on investment. Oil and gas, good. Alternative market at the same time. Thank you.
Good, good. So we've heard that early identification of opportunities is key, and I think that's why we have this opportunity fair every 2 years. So you see the 5-year horizon of the opportunities in the industry. And when you are designing your capacity building structures and infrastructure, just have it in mind that there are other sectors that can also offtake your products. Thank you for that intervention.
Thank you.
So I'll move to an operator, Total. Wonderful job on the back of Egina. A lot of capacity has been built. However, we have seen Total repositioning to become Total Energies, which means there's a focus on renewable energy. We would like to hear from you, how has the repositioning affected the existing supply chain in the oil and gas industry? What are the adaptation opportunities, and what advice would you give to the service companies to ensure that they continue to do business with Total, even though you have expanded your portfolio to renewables?
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very good question, and it's an opportunity also to express Total Energy's regards to everyone listening. As an upstream company, and also a downstream company, and also involved in midstream, Total Energies will normally not do anything without proper planning. So before the group came up from May 28, 2021 to say we are moving from Total to Total Energies with a focus on renewable energy, it has been planned end to end. So now, from an oil company to an oil and gas company, now we're moving to an oil company, oil and gas company, electricity company, biomass, hydrogen, solar, wind, and hydrogen. And the focus is to see that we can be one of the key players in providing clean energy, affordable energy, sustainable energy for today and for the future. In doing this, and in going straight to his question, the suppliers, contractors, third-party services that will be involved in this journey are not also left behind. So Total Energies is intentional in making effort to carry along all our service providers. Recently, there was a workshop in Port Harcourt that involved nearly 500 vendors. And it was a whole day session where the company took time to explain the transition and what that transition involves. That transition does not involve dropping off contractors or dropping off suppliers or cutting off people's businesses. No. Instead, that transition involves carrying people along to move from one energy provider to the next energy provider. Meaning that for every contractor, every vendor involved, you should be able to move from what you are doing now as the company moves from one energy's position to the other. You as a contractor also can move from one energy supplier to the other. Today we have solar energy. People who are busy supplying oil equipment can now move to be suppliers of photovoltaic panels, solar panels, batteries, and all that. You see, this is a huge market altogether. And supply chain, of course, begins right from the raw materials to the production, manufacturing, then storage, transportation, be it air, land, and sea, then warehousing, then even up to finance, like the ES was mentioning yesterday. There is a whole gamut of opportunities. Even those who are going to do enabling payments in the internet, or through the internet or through services like payment systems, are all involved in the supply chain. So from the to the finance, everybody is being trained on how to metamorphosize from being just an oil company supplier to a renewable energies company contractor.
Great,
Thank you very much.
Great work. All right, so we have assurance that even though Total has expanded its portfolio, they have put in place a change management process that enables their suppliers to easily adapt. And so what we'll be seeing is expansion of portfolio and not loss of businesses as a result of the focus of Total. So it's good to hear that, and we like the assurance that has been provided. So I'll move to PETAN. Now, energy transition is a reality, but we also have the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. Listening to Total, so even the energy transition provides an opportunity for portfolio expansion. And then AFTA also provides an opportunity for PETAN companies to do business beyond Nigeria. So what is PETAN's response strategy to these twin emerging trends? And I would like you to focus your submissions on value creation, research and technology development, because PETAN is Association of Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Just to recap, the PETAN is more than 100 companies, service providers in Nigeria, end to end, from exploration to production. And we came together to form PETAN in Nigeria. However, with the transition, I will call it new market or emerging market that is coming. However, we are shifting our service offering, service and product offering towards this new market. You looked at the exhibition yesterday, you saw some people now provide gas cylinders, you see people providing batteries and nitrogen membrane. We are manufacturing some, bringing some into the country, just to position ourselves to the gas booming business coming forward. We are expanding our investment towards this new technology or product to take position in the emerging market, so that what happened to Nokia and Android will not happen to service companies within the PETAN space. Because if you don't respond to these changes, you will be cut off, probably you get obscured, and you will lose business. We are collaborating within PETAN companies as well to be able to scale up, as well as collaborating with recognized OEM worldwide, so that we can capture these opportunities that is emerging within the transitional framework. On the after, I will call it integration of market potential within Africa. Yeah. That's what it is. And PETAN is recognized African content apostle, preaching this local content to many countries within Africa, because Nigeria have been on the lead on the local content, telling them how to organize their own kind of PETAN to be able to take the opportunities of resources they have in their own countries. And currently, we've signed collaborating agreement, we call MOU, with 4 countries, Tanzania, Mozambique, Guyana, and Angola. We are discussing with Uganda and Kenya and other countries that produce oil too. This is a way we can use to expand this particular discussion within Africa, so that other countries will join with us. We formed a big bloc to be able to respond to this. And currently, we are pushing to create what we call African Local Content Board at the back of the after, so that this local content board will take responsibility of local content needs and resources and services within Africa for us to be able to exploit these resources we have. This is what PETAN is doing on their own level to be able to push this agenda towards African level. Thank you.
Very good. So it's good to hear that PETAN already has a response strategy, and they're looking at it from the dimension of governance, which is to provide a platform for African suppliers to identify and pursue opportunities jointly. And also, energy transition is actually a new market opportunity. So what you have said resonates with what Total is saying. So it's good that to hear that the business, it will be business as usual, but even expansion of business opportunities. Tranos. Mr. Jude, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
You're in the business of manufacturing cable, trays, electrical switch gears, gaskets, and so on. Multi-sectoral application, but also you can have markets beyond Nigeria, and I'm sure you're doing that already. So how are you positioning Tranos to take advantage of the international market, again, looking at the opportunities offered by AFTA. But most importantly, AFTA also requires you to demonstrate country of origin. The idea is that they don't want us to import goods from Europe and trade among African countries. So which means technology is very important. You must demonstrate ownership of technology. So what is your response strategy to this requirement?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. At Tranos, we, as an organization, we focus on value, and to try and answer that question, we look at it from the perspective of the value we provide to our customers. If we're looking at competing continent-wide, we have to be able to provide the best value in the areas within which we play. So we have to look at it from the perspective that if we're going to supply, say, a customer in Kenya, for example, are we providing that customer the best value he or she can pay for? So we strongly believe that as long as we are providing the best value, the customer will always come back to us. So in essence, we have to invest in the capabilities, in the technologies to always put us up in front. And from that perspective, we're not just looking at competing within Nigeria or in fact within Africa alone, because at the end of the day, you would want the person buying from you to have the same satisfaction they will get from buying from anywhere else in the world. So at Tranos, we are focused on trying to compete by investing in technology, and in that regard, we are looking at it both from the hardware side in terms of equipment, tools, machinery, and also from the software side, looking at it from the software we use from product design all the way down through our production processes, the supply chain system, to the delivery to the customer. But not just stopping there, because even if you have the best product and it's difficult for people to place orders with you, it's still a challenge. So you also need to look at how do you make it easy for people to order your products? How do you make it easy for people to reach out to you if they want to buy things from you? Then we also need to look at the other side of things, which will be the logistics. So if you've been able to make a sale, how easy is it or will it be to get the goods down to the customer's location? So I guess it's a complete 360 view of the whole situation, but at the heart of that is trying to make sure that the customer gets the best value, such that even if the customer has other options, they will always come back to you.
Interesting. So we have assurance that you can do business outside Nigeria, and you'll be able to demonstrate country of origin.
Certainly.
Because you're already investing in hardware, technology, and software.
Yes.
Okay. The next will be Mr. Taiwo Folabi, Techno Oil. You're in the business of cylinder manufacturing. Thanks for all the good work, the investments, supporting the gas penetration program of the federal government. However, your major raw material is steel, and it's currently import dependent. So when we talk about sectoral linkage, it speaks to the fact that the steel sector has to support you. Otherwise, you continue to depend on imported steel. So do we have any blueprint from your company and other companies that depend on steel on how we can look inwards to reduce the dependence on imported steel, especially as it impacts foreign exchange and, of course, your bottom line? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of my principal, that is Mrs. Nkechi Obi, she sends her regards. She's unavoidably absent, and that's why I'm here. And also, the message is also sent to the ES, because as a company, the NCDMB has really assisted a lot as far as our investment is concerned. Going to the topic of the day, which is the question being asked, there is need for us to touch one or two areas as far as this cylinder manufacturing plant is concerned. The impact of imported raw materials cannot be overemphasized. And let's look at the background. The background here is that it has been estimated that the fuels with higher carbon emission, like firewood, kill over 600,000 Africans yearly. And with all this information, as a government, we said there is need for gas penetration. Very good initiative from our government. Of course, for every home to adopt gas as the first choice of cooking, of course, a clean energy, and this is an idea supported by UN as part of the Sustainable Development Goals. Look at the data again. 5 years ago, 2018, it has been established 90% of Nigerian homes lack cylinders. With all the investment from the Totals, from the Chevron, all the discussion we've had since yesterday up till this point, you can see a lot of opportunities in gas. When all of us now produce all this gas, how will the gas get to the homes and also to the factories? That's where Techno Oil comes in. Across the value chain of gas, right from terminal, where gas is stored, up to the bottling plant, up to cylinder manufacturing, up till the point it gets to your homes. This is the value chain Techno Oil and other investors locally have actually done very well. Then the issue now is this. When all of these investments have been made, which of course it is a local content development by way of investment, what this stands to be is, number one, to feel, to for the homes, local consumption. And by extension, when the local consumption is satisfied, by way of export, so that we can generate forex in order to lessen the effect of the pressure we are getting from forex demand. And in the last 5 years, it becomes a case that as we speak, there are a lot of support programs that is expected from government so that the justification for this investment, every investor in this particular line, they see the reason why these investments have been made. Now, coming to the issue, whether we have a roadmap as to what to be done in terms of steel-based product, looking inward at what to do. Where is the Ajaokuta of this world? Where are the investments the government made in the past to support local production of steel? It is still a very big elephant in the house. When when raw materials are imported, the result is simple. You tend to have very high cost of production. Nigerian homes, everybody that gets to the market now, what you look at for in terms of cylinders is to go to the market and look for the cheapest cylinders because of your pocket. Average Nigerian looks for what is cheap in the market. We now see situations where substandard cylinders find their way into our market. I have never had it in my life that we now have Tokumbo cylinders and they have found their ways into the market. What does that mean? When we have local investment, there is need for us to support those local investments, and what we turn out as products, they are of high quality. Take it anywhere, they are of standard because the ISO standard is met. Some also, they are also part of us. So what are we saying here? If government has the political will to support these industries, our investment definitely will not go down the drain. Investment will not go down the drain. Employment will be maintained. We satisfy the local need of cylinders, and we also export. Now, if we have the political will and government support, we won't be going abroad to source our materials. it then means the production cost per one becomes very cheap so that every home, these 90% Nigerian homes, will also have the opportunity of affording the cylinders. Number two, if we have the enabling environment, there is partnership discussion going on among the local manufacturers. We are ready to bring in the technology. And when we have the technology, what follows is the skill. And when we have all of this, it simply means production of cylinders becomes so cheap, and that gas penetration, which is the aim of government, is achieved towards that. But when all of these are not met, it becomes an issue. So there is need for everyone, both the government and also the enablers, to support this industry so that gas penetration becomes a very easy and affordable project, both for the homes and also for the government. Thank you very much.
Interesting. So the almighty Ajakuta. So I hope policymakers are listening. Everybody keeps referring to Ajakuta anytime we discuss steel. So we've gone around all the panelists. We'll take just one or two questions from the participants before we wrap up.
Please, if you have a question, can you please raise your hand? We'll take 2 people and maybe an extra one if the time permits. There's someone at the back there.
Okay, hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Idoko Isaac.
Yes.
I would like to thank the panelists for the wonderful opportunities and also the expository discussions. However, I would like to ask for all the sections from yesterday to today, is there any way, because of how fast and because of time limit, right, we are not able to capture many of the projects that are being talked about and also the opportunities? Is there any way that we can have, if we can't have the whole slides, that's fine, but I'm talking about the projects and the opportunities. So is there a way we can get it? Thank you.
Is a question for me or for him? For me? Okay, so at the end of the program, please visit Dr. Riley's place at the back and ask them. They'll be able to tell you if they can present everything that was here to you. I think it's something that they should be able to do, or they'll let you know. So you can visit the desk at the back there, and they'll be able to answer you. And also at the reception too. I wish to ask a question that had to do with these distinguished guests, because you don't get to see them every time. So I will appreciate someone to ask a question that has to do with what they have said, so they can respond to you. Are you asking a question?
Hi.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Nike Kuku, and I work with Hanogas. So my question goes to Mr. Folabi. You talked about the steel, LPG cylinder. I was just wondering whether you had anything to share with us about moving away to a more sustainable one, which would be composite.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think there's one more question there.
Okay, we're taking one more.
Okay, my question is to Mr. Folabi. Wow. Yeah, so I think in framing your business, in talking about manufacturing cylinders in Nigeria, you already know that we are not manufacturing steel in the country. So what specifically do you need from government to start this production? Nigeria needs cylinder. You said you would do it. What is holding us?
Okay, so we'll take it.
So, Folabi, all the questions are for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's tackle the issue of the composite cylinders. The truth of the matter is affordability. Look at the $1 million in terms of investment we've had on ground. When you quantify this in Naira, it runs into billions of Naira. And an average composite cylinder in the market now goes for about 40,000 Naira. Now, the steel goes between 22,000 and 25,000 Naira. What is the minimum wage if you want to really evaluate affordability of homes. What is the minimum wage? What is the affordability aspect of it? So if 22,000 naira plus about 10 to 9,000 naira, which you use to refill these cylinders, Nigerians are still struggling with that. It becomes an issue. Yes, composite is the way to go, but affordability is also another aspect of it. Techno Oil is looking at that, but right as we speak, our investment is still at the steel production. But if you're able to support us, and we're able to also have our return on investment based on the one we have on ground, definitely, everybody likes money. When you have return on your investment, what you do next is to move to the next one. Affordability is still a concern, and that is the reason why we have not actually made a lot of effort in terms of that. There are other companies who are doing that, but we also have an association. We are also looking at everything, but you are in our mind. That is the reason why the company has not actually gone into the composite. But it's a way to go. We are also having our study on that. Number 2 question says, what do we need from government? What we need from government is that enabling environment where even if we still want to stay at the point of bringing raw materials for the production of cylinders, the enabling environment is quite, it's required to do that. Number 1, bringing an import for a local production requires dollars. There should be interventions windows for people like us who are also still bringing steel into the country. And the intervention windows should be at a very good rate at which you will also be able to buy cylinders, maybe at the cost of about 10 and 9,000 naira. So when that is done, of course, it has given us a leverage into producing cylinders which homes will be able to afford. But ultimately, as a nation, some countries that are not up to Nigeria, they do not have issues having a working steel manufacturing plant in our country. If that is done, 95% of the cost of cylinders would definitely go to a point at which every home, either in the village, rural area, or in the urban areas, will be able to afford. Support us with all it takes to get the production cost reduced so that every home will also benefit from this gas penetration program. Thank you.
Who is the MD CEO, Coleman Cables and Wires. Honor for work on George, yes, please. Our second recipient is Mr. Cyprian Ojum, the Nigerian content, Total Energies Limited, Oil Producers Trade Section, OPTS. Our third recipient is Mrs. Nkechi Obi, who is represented by Mr. Taiwo Afolabi, the AGM Business Development and Strategy. The third recipient is Mr. Jude Abalaka, Managing Director, Tranos. The last, but definitely not the least, is Engineer Obidike Nikan Uzu, Secretary, Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PTAN. That's all. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for them, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The last but not the least, the moderator, Mr. Abdulmalik Halilu, Director, Planning, Research, and Statistics.
All right, thank you very much, distinguished delegates, distinguished speakers, distinguished opportunity presenters, distinguished media men and women, and also the organizers, and every other person that has contributed to the success of this year's Opportunity Fair. You must agree with me, it's a 2-day of packed activities to share opportunity in the oil and gas industry. Strictly speaking, 2 days is not enough to be able to share all the opportunities in the funnel within the oil and gas industry. Hence, the organizers tried as much as possible to compress a lot of things. They didn't spend too much time expatiating in some of these opportunities. I know people have asked for drill down of these opportunities, just like when we did the opportunities available in the Train 7. That one, it was just Train 7, and we had a whole day. So we were able to drill down to the last bolt and nut with regards to the Train 7 opportunity. But because of time constraint, we just gave the high level in terms of those opportunities. But I can tell you that I think somebody asked as to how people will get information about the opportunities. I can tell you a compendium will be prepared as usual after this event, and the compendium will have a bit of drill down of those opportunities. And all those who registered for this NOGOF will get the online version of it. We also used to print the hard copy of those compendiums. Under normal circumstance, if the opportunity owners had given us all the information, you would have seen the opportunities in your bag as you leave. But because we didn't get it drilled down as much as we want, it will definitely come to you later in an electronic form, and those who are available within Yenagoa and our office premises will have the opportunity to pick up the hard copy. So be rest assured that that is the process with which we take this through. Let me sincerely thank our facility managers in NCDMB. As you can see, this is one of those facilities that people don't fund themselves. Instead, I have attended a lot of workshops and conferences, and people will be fanning themselves, and the ladies will even hold automatic fan to their face. I'm sure you all saw it when we had a conference at the ICE, at the International Conference Center during Nigerian International Energy Summit. People were sweating. But I've been told reliably that all the ladies have all their makeups intact. There was no challenge of powder disappearing that I've been told. So I thank our facility managers. We also did not have a blink of power during this whole event. But because like somebody said we power this facility with our own 10 megawatts built gas-fired power plant. So we had power throughout this event. And also let me thank the organizers, because yesterday we also went for a gala night, which was an external facility from us. But also in that gala night, people were not sweating because the right venue was chosen and we all enjoyed ourselves. One of the things that make you leave events is when the environment is not conducive. You are sweating, and so I thank the organizers of this year's event. We've come a long way. This is the 4th edition in terms of sharing these opportunities. And like I said, it was one of those feedback we got from the Nigerian vendors when they say that they are invited for opportunities, but they are not given good enough notice for them to build their capacity. And hence, it comes as if all of a sudden these opportunities come, and then when they try to participate, the operators tell them that they don't have the capacity and capabilities. Hence, we created this opportunity platform so that people will get in advance all the information. I mean, you can see the array of information shared by indigenous companies in terms of their plans to expand, in terms of the projects they have in their funnel. It is now up to you to up your game to be able to participate in those opportunities. So let me profusely thank all the opportunity presenters for a wonderful job that you did. And one thing you can see is that in the whole hall, 99.9% of the people seated in this hall are Nigerians. What message does that tell you? Is that our local content program has come of age. We have Nigerians participating in all these opportunities. In those days, when you do an activity like this, you see that 50% or 60% of the attendees are international oil companies or they are MDs. Today, most of the MDs are Nigerians, both in the service companies and also all other international brands like Schlumberger, Halliburton, and the rest of it all. So we've really come a long way in terms of our progress. So I thank all the MDs and their delegates for being here with us for these 2 days. And also thank the exhibitors. For us, I had the singular honor of discovering some new companies when I went around the exhibition booth. Some of them, I didn't know them and specifically challenged them on what they are doing. And it brought out a lot of, if you like, happiness in me because I see Nigerian companies going places. That's why I say to my peasant friends, I say, look, this is the time for us to look inwards as Nigerian, particularly in Africa. We should show ourselves in all those African organized conferences and opportunities, rather than jetting ourselves out of Nigeria to attend those international ones. When, of course, the capacity you have developed, you are able to really add value to the African continent. So I thank also the exhibitors for this, and we must all work hard to see how we extend all the capacities we have developed in Africa, in Nigeria, to the African continent. Today, Namibia is now a toast in terms of oil discovery and LNG prospect. Of course, you know about Mozambique. Today, I was just reading in the press about Tanzania, where Shell and one other company want to invest in LNG. These are huge opportunities in Africa, and we must take advantage of it as Nigeria. Because these days, when I go to conferences and workshops, I no longer sit down to listen to African countries who are trying to justify how they've developed local content. Reading from the script given to them by the international companies, they come and talk about local content. I remember I went to a conference, I think it was in Angola. They came and was telling me their local content was the number of schools they have built, the roads that they have built, that they have achieved a lot in local content. And I said, look, we're not here to compete. Let what we do speak for itself. Gone are those days when we started local content, we were making all those presentations to justify how it will be done. Now we deal with it with concrete examples as to what we have achieved in the local content front. So we must extend these our capacities beyond the shores of Nigeria to the African continent, as it were, particularly with the opportunity given to us by AFTA. So we are very happy. At this event, we had about 1,086 participants. 1,086 participants, 86 beyond our capacity, because this auditorium is designed to accommodate 1,000 people, but 1,086 participants attended this year's NOGOF. So this goes to show that indeed we are on the right track. Hopefully, apologize for some of the challenges a lot of you faced in your various hotels. It is out of that limitation that NCDMB itself is trying to build a hotel brand that will manage a lot of this. And I'm sure in the next NOGOF, if you come to Bayelsa in the next 2 years, you are going to stay in our brand new hotel when you come. Maybe by that time I'm also retired, so I will also attend staying in that hotel myself. So we will do something about it. It was one of the challenges that we took out in the event we organized. That's where we are going in that direction. I can see, being an incurable optimist, I can see that the opportunities will begin to open themselves. I can assure you, it will take time. The oil industry is not a place where you come tomorrow and you grab what is there. You must have the staying power, and you must invest in yourself and in your company to be able to take advantage of the industry. So I think this year has been a bit revealing to us. We in NCDMB, particularly the organizing committee, led by Tunde Adelana and our consultant, Jake Riley. I'm sure you will agree with me that Jake Riley, a woman-led business, has really done very well. So please put your hands together for Jake Riley. In terms of organizing conferences and workshops, we've been able to build internal capacity. If you all recall, even if you go back to our PNC, in those days when we started PNC, it was almost 100% expats that were running PNC for us. Today, it is 100% Nigerians who run our practical Nigerian content. So that's how far we've been able to build capacity in that regard. I hope you all enjoyed the Bayelsa hospitality. Thanks to the government. I know the governor would have very much wished to be part of this, but unfortunately, he finished the burial of his late father last week, and then he had to jet out to have some rest as such. And the deputy governor who was to come also had some exigency of government business, so he had to delegate his commissioner for energy. So we thank the state government for their cooperation and being behind us, especially being the host of this conference here in Yenagoa. Let me thank the media men and women for a job well done. When I look at the Instagram, I look at Twitter, I'm not on Facebook, but I look at that and I then see the information that they reel out. Really, really exciting. So thank you very much to the media team. Thank you to the masters of ceremony. They've been wonderful. Some of them are new to oil industry activities, but they are getting themselves there in order to be part of this part of it. So I thank them for a job well done. Let me thank all you participants. You've been wonderful. I will crave your indulgence to ask you to please put your hands together for yourself. You always think that coming to the end, the hall will be half full, but I can still see a lot of people beyond half still with us. Let me thank the security authorities. They are here with us, the DSS, the police, the civil defense, the Air Force, the Navy, for being solidly with us. And I'm sure you all saw that security was very much tight with regards to this event. So I thank them profusely for this, and also the correctional facility that also were able to make a presentation to us. So I thank them all. Let me begin by thanking our sponsors. We don't take you lightly. If tomorrow we begin to show some favoritism to these sponsors, please, I don't want to hear any complaint because they've been with us, they are our partners, and we must partner with them. So I have no regret if you begin to see us favoring them. Next time, be a sponsor, and we will all work together. Let me thank Chevron, a platinum sponsor, NUPRC, thanks to Kelechi, who is also one of our board members, our council members, and a staff of a commissioner within NUPRC. He's been with us here since yesterday. I thank NMPC. Malam Mele Kolokiari was here with us, and most of his vice presidents were also here with us, including the GGM of NUIMS, Bala Wonti, who was also here. Let me thank Coleman Cable and Wire. Be rest assured that our hotel building, you are going to wire everywhere. Because you've been a partner, so we are going to patronize you to wire our hotel building. Let me thank Shell, a worthy partner indeed. That's my, if I were still a student, I would say that's my alma mater. They've been very, very supportive. Thank you very much to Shell. First EMP Limited, one of the wave-making and growing indigenous players. Thranos, thank you very much. Silver sponsor. OilServe, my friend Emeka Okosa is not here. I challenge him that he has to be participating in local events instead of going to OTC. So I think he was listening to that advice. I also thank NMDPRA for sponsoring the gala dinner, one of our bronze sponsors. My friend and brother, Engineer Farouk, couldn't make it because he was out of the country. He would have wished to be here. Green Energy, thank you very much, bronze sponsor. Daewoo, ENC, really appreciate you. Like I said, nobody should be envious when we begin to get close to most of these are sponsors. ExxonMobil, bronze sponsor. You can see that the indigenous players are taking more prominent positions, and the likes of Exxon are drifting behind. But thank you for their sponsorship. Ashram Energy Limited, one of our associate sponsors. Oriental Global Energy Resources, and one of our partners, Bank of Industry, our worthy partner in managing the NCI fund. We thank them. Also thank Caverton Helicopter, one of our sponsors. Savannah Energy, coming out from the Savannah for the first time to be part of the sponsorship. We thank Seplat Energy. Seplat is our poster boy, if you like. I am sure when they resolve their boardroom issues, they will become platinum sponsor. Thank you to Niger Delta EMP for the sponsorship. NLNG, surprisingly, went way behind to be an associate. I don't know what went wrong. Maybe they are spending all the money on Train 7. By the time they finish Train 7, they will come back to platinum sponsor. Just like Arsenal, when we were building the stadium, we had to limit buying of players. That was why we came second. Don't worry about that. Let me thank Petan, our worthy partner. Petan has always been, if you like, the baby of local content. They created it with us, and they've grown in leaps and bounds. And today, our desire is to see Petan companies do a lot more outside Nigeria than in Nigeria. So we've been pushing them, encouraging them to extend the capacity of their members beyond the shores of Nigeria. So we thank them very much. Nick Odiniwe was here with us, but we also have the vice chairman of Petan, Ronti Omole, who is also here with us. So I thank all our sponsors for a job well done. You guys are worthy sponsors. I'm going to keep this list, and when I see documents, I refer to it and see if they were worthy partners or not. Be rest assured, and trust me, I mean everything that I say. I don't joke about it, and that's my modus operandi. And I'm very transparent about it because I say it so that people will hear. So I thank you all for being worthy participants. Let us all try. There are opportunities in this country. I am a great optimist. I believe that there are opportunities that we must harness. By next week, I guess the upper week on the 29th, we're going to be having a new government. The present administration has done all it could to move us forward. They would have laid the foundation. The onus is on us now to build on that foundation. They might not be perfect because, like I always say, every job looks easy if you're not the one doing it. If you tune to Nigerian stations, be it Channels, Arise, or the rest, every morning you see people who have solution to all Nigerian problems. They sit down, they analyze, the government should have done this, they should have done that. If you listen to them, you will say, oh, make this man minister of power. But my brother, try it. Nothing will happen. It's like they say, some of these things are beer parlor discussion. When I listen to those programs in the morning, the vehemence with which they talk, be it security, be it power, be it our energy sector, you think they have all the answers. I have seen it. By God's grace, I've been around. Give them the opportunity, you will hear a different story later because people have the solution. It's just like football commentators. For those of you who follow football, when you watch them describing what a player should have done, ask them to go and play. You see the problem. So it's always very interesting when I listen to people prefer solutions. But when we see those who talk and we can relate to what they have done, we can then believe them and begin to listen. I've seen some people who say they want to be presidents of this country that have run banks that went into liquidation, yet they want to solve the problem of Nigeria. At times, I look at these things and say, okay, well, talk is cheap, so everybody has the opportunity to say what they like. But I can tell you, every job looks easy if you're not the person doing it. You sit down and say, oh, he should have done this. Why can't he take the decision? My brother, when you get into it, then you know it is not easy. So lastly, let me wish all of us safe journey back to our various destinations. In NCDMB, I guess they would have shown the date for the next NOGOF, which will happen sometime in 2025. But our next event as NCDMB will be our practical Nigerian content, which of course we run in December. That is another flagship event where we also come and talk about the plans that we had as NCDMB in the year 2023 and how far we've been able to deliver on those plans. We also share with you stakeholders so that you are able to also critique us and also point us in the right direction. So once again, thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon at our practical Nigerian content. God bless you all. Thank you.